Hello and welcome back to Kingdom Come Deliverance. Today we will be doing something for Charlatan in exchange for the allure potion that Sir Hans wanted us to get for him. So let's have a chat with him and let's see what he wants from us.
Well, well, who have we here?
Ah, the prodigal son returns. I knew you'd come back to me one day.
Let me guess, you saw it in a dream?
I knew you were going to say that.
But I had a divine revelation. That next time I won't be around to pull you out of the shit.
Oh, well, I am sorry. But these things are sent to try our fortitude in the face of adversity.
I'd like to try your fortitude. I've heard you know of some irresistibility potion or whatever it is.
Oh, naturally. Musk of infinite allure. An age-old recipe, maybe even older. Tested by Moses himself.
Moses?
Or how do you think he managed to get his people to follow him through the desert for 40 years? It's extremely potent.
Yeah, so it would seem. How much do you want for it?
Who do you take me for? The wisdom of the ancients isn't something that's bought and sold in the marketplace. Did Jesus charge for his miracles? But since you ask, how about this much?
What? That much? You're a crook.
As King Solomon said, honesty is for those who can afford it. If you like, I can mix the elixir for you in exchange for a small favor.
Oh, not again.
Now, is that any tone to use with your master? For shame.
Apologies, Master. I was carried away by my thirst for knowledge.
I understand your impatience, but the way to wisdom is narrow and arduous.
And leads out the window. So what is it you want from me now?
Ah, my dear apprentice, everything's gone to the devil. I'm living from hand to mouth, sleeping on straw, and the local peasants won't buy from me. They say they don't trust me, as if I was some kind of charlatan. Can you believe it? Does this look to you like the face of a swindler? I'm an honest trader in sacred goods, whose only concern is the welfare of troubled souls. And any time now the slanderous gossip will spread here from Sassau. I should leave before things get worse. But I can't go anywhere until I've made a bit of coin. So what's needed is to give the locals a bit of encouragement, to open their hearts and purses.
I'm not going to go around beating people for you.
What do you take me for? I wouldn't hurt a fly. Violence is for the dull-witted. We must gently demonstrate to them the necessity of buying my remedies. For example, to ward off a revenant.
Revenant? What revenant?
The dead, returned from the grave. A corpse that the soul is unable to depart from, which wanders among the living, filled with rage at its wretched fate.
Yeah, I saw something like that once. But it was just some drunk going home from the tavern after losing all his money at dice.
Don't make light of such things. Now tell me, do you know how to deal with a revenant?
A silver arrowhead through the skull?
Novel, but it would certainly be a lucrative trade. You are my trained apprentice, but the ignorant villager is entirely at a loss how to deal with such dark forces. It is our sacred duty to prepare them for such threats.
And how do you propose to do that?
Well, they're all doubting Thomases. They need proof. We'll need a grave, an empty grave that we can use. There's one along the way to Sassau, but it's got one minor shortcoming.
What's that?
Well, it's not entirely empty.
Not entirely? What does that mean?
You have to dig it up first.
Why this particular grave?
The locals don't like to talk about it, so it's surely got some sinister past behind it. And in places like that, revenants sprout up like mushrooms after rain.
Well, if that's how it is, we could open old wounds. That could easily set people against us. Again.
Then it would be best if no one could connect us to it, wouldn't it?
But that's a sin.
Refusing to help the needy is also a sin. I haven't had a decent meal for 40 days and 40 nights.
My conscience is clear where your stomach is concerned. Disturbing a grave is a grave sin.
The grave is not in hallowed ground, so that's hardly worth one Lord's Prayer in penance. I asked a priest once, just out of curiosity.
I'll need a spade then.
Yes, dig it up and remove the remains, leaving no trace.
And what am I to do with the remains?
Keep them. Human remains are always handy to have around.
Great. And how do we spread the word of this revenant?
There's a gossip in every village. Here too, a woman who'll spread news quicker than a dozen messengers on the fastest steeds.
And what am I to tell this gossip?
All you have to do is casually mention the empty grave, and before evening, I'll wager the whole village will know about it.
Where does this woman live?
The last house on the left, on the road to Sassau. She was the first person I met here, and by the time I reached the village green, I already had a mob looking suspiciously at me. The rumour-mongering fishwife.
And that's all?
Not quite. You should ask her who was buried there. So we've got a story to work with.
So, dig up the grave, talk to the gossip.
And the remains. Don't forget to remove them. Otherwise no one will believe in the revenant.
I might have known any task for Capon would turn into some insane escapade. Grave robbing. Jesus.
Okay. So let's see. He's marked as. Okay, that's fine. And then dig up the grave and remove the remains. Well, let's do it then. Okay, here we are. Let's start digging. Okay, quick job. Now let's have a chat with the gossip and see what we can find out.
God be with you, good wife. Has something happened here?
Heavens no. It's quiet here, unlike some other places.
And what about that empty grave?
What empty grave would that be now?
The one beyond the village, alongside the road to Sassau. Just by the river, on the Pine Headland.
How would you know it's empty, unless it was dug up?
Oh, it's dug up all right. Freshly. And empty. I saw it with my own 2 eyes.
Lord in heaven, what in the name of...
How come it's not in hallowed ground, anyway? Only unrepentant sinners are buried like that. Usually.
I don't like to say. It's an old wound that's best forgotten.
Whose grave is it?
Well, once a long time ago there was a young charcoal burner living here with his wife. There was always a lot of charcoal burners here, but this fellow worked alone. That's not an easy job for one man.
No one wanted to work with him, or what?
Oh, he was a hard-headed fellow who always wanted to take care of his family himself.
Well, only then you've no one to blame but yourself if you end up alone.
His wife was expecting, though no one knew it yet. And he wasn't doing well at all. Soon enough they had nothing to eat. And so he took to thieving.
Well, I can understand him. To watch your family suffer like that. What could he do when they were going hungry?
If we'd known how badly off they was, folk would have helped out. But he kept his troubles to himself.
And did he get caught?
Well, at first it was just a few eggs going missing from people's hen coops. But then it was anything that wasn't nailed down. And in the end, they caught him.
And I suppose he was harshly punished for it.
Even then he didn't let on why he was doing it. They whipped the skin off his back and banished him from Leditchcott.
So justice was done then?
It wasn't enough for some folk. When the butcher found out he'd never get any compensation, he wanted them to chop off the charcoal burner's hands. If the bailiff hadn't talked sense into him, he'd have done it himself with his cleaver.
Well, he got off lightly enough then.
And in the end, he got what was coming to him, and more.
The butcher caught up with him?
No. It was the mills of God turning slowly but surely. His wife bled to death in childbirth, and the child died with her.
I'm sorry to hear that. But at least he knew they were gone to a better place.
True, lad.
Nothing could have been done to save them.
There was no one there. He had no one who would care for his wife. They say on that day he parted ways with God forever, and he turned his back on the village too. I reckon he never forgave himself, nor us either.
The Lord moves in mysterious ways. But how did he end up?
Don't ask me that, lad. I beg you.
Come now, good wife. You can't leave the story unfinished.
I said no. Will you let it lie?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Let's talk with our charlatan friend. And this is one of those quests that, you know, has 2 achievements. You can do only one or the other. So, we're gonna drop a save at a certain point, especially before burying the charcoal burner. We're gonna drop a save, and then we're gonna bury him in one place, and then once we get the achievement, then we're gonna do the other place.
God save you.
I know who was buried in that grave. A young charcoal burner.
So begins the tragic tale of the young charcoal burner who became entangled with the devil himself.
Oh, don't start. What devil? I'm trying to tell you. He was from Ledetchko. He was trying to eke out a living for himself and his wife, but he couldn't manage. When she fell pregnant, he took to stealing.
Pride drove him from the straight and narrow path, and soon he sold his soul to the devil to fill his stomach.
They caught him and punished him, but some of the people he'd robbed didn't think it was enough. Then when his wife died in childbirth, and the child too, he blamed everyone for it. Even God, apparently.
But when the time came to pay his debt to hell, the devil had no use for his soul, and took his wife and child instead. The charcoal burner cursed God, who struck him down in righteous vengeance. But the dead man's soul never left his body. He came back as a revenant to vent his rage at God and men and take vengeance on the living.
Jesus, did you listen to what I said at all?
Sorry, did you say something?
Oh, never mind. What do you want me to do with it?
Well, the question is, what would the revenant do to get revenge on the villagers? Well, apprentice?
He was stealing food from people, right? So, supposing he started again.
We should steal from people? Disgraceful. Have you no shame?
Maybe just a few eggs from hen coops, like the gossip mentioned.
Well, that wouldn't be too serious a sin. Will they put it down to the revenant, though?
They would, if I put some charcoal there instead.
And their nourishment he turned into ash.
The gossip mentioned the butcher. It seems he was infuriated that the charcoal burner's punishment was too lenient.
And the revenant spoiled their meat with his malign touch.
How's that?
Spoiled meat is the classic example of a revenant's power.
I thought it was the work of bad butchers.
That too, sometimes.
So, I should switch the good meat for bad at the butcher's.
But make sure it's the same kind of meat. Not even a revenant will turn a cow into a chicken.
What about his wife and child? No doubt he'd want to avenge their death.
Well, how did they die?
In childbirth.
And when his love turned to rage, the water turned to blood. Nothing too original. But it's tried and tested. If you do it at the baths, everyone will hear of it.
How am I supposed to do that? It might be a bit suspicious if I'm seen walking around with a pail of blood.
No problem. There's a certain potion that will do the trick easily.
He cursed God. That's very serious.
What is it that most brings God to mind?
They don't have a church there. But everyone will have a rosary. I can't think of anything else.
That's it! If folks start losing their rosaries, they'll have sleepless nights over it.
You want me to steal rosaries? But that's...
Or just exchange them.
For what?
For nothing.
Great.
So, switch eggs for charcoal, switch the meat, color the water in the baths, and switch the rosaries. That ought to do it. I hope so. Of course, if you come up with anything else, don't let me hold you back. Talking to people might give you ideas. Traders, the bailiff.
But what if someone sees me in the act?
They mustn't. Otherwise, it'll end up like Sasau all over again. Don't draw attention to yourself, or they'll put two and two together.
Sure. I'll keep my head down. And how would I know if I've succeeded? I doubt it'll be announced on the market square.
I'll be the first to know. They'll come running to me for a remedy, like hens at feeding time. Off you go and raise hell.
Right. I'll get to it then.
Take care.
Let me ask him about the remains
What
as
about
well.
the dead man's remains?
You still have them?
No, you said to keep them. What do I do with them now?
I'll buy them from you.
What on earth for?
The bones of a revenant. Those can be valuable goods. What do you say?
No, I want to bury them.
I think I'd rather bury them.
You could. But what a waste. Imagine the power they could have.
At least the poor wretch will have peace at last.
Maybe. As long as you bury him in hallowed ground. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Like in Ratai, maybe?
Well, that's probably the nearest. That gossip-mongering crone would know.
True, I could ask her.
If you must. But for heaven's sake, don't even hint to her what you're up to. God be with you.
Okay, so let's go back to the lady and have a chat with her, and this is where we're gonna start.
Good wife.
Yes, lad. What can I do for you?
You know, I can't stop thinking about what happened to that poor wretch.
Have you no consideration for a poor old woman? I told you I don't want to talk about it.
Doesn't matter.
It might relieve you to talk to someone.
Relieve me from what?
Well, guilt.
Guilt? Why should I feel guilty?
Now, clearly something weighs heavy on your soul, just like the other villagers. The older ones. And I'd say it's connected to that empty grave. But that wretch returns as a revenant, and no one does anything. It's not just fear, but more like everyone is expecting some punishment that was bound to come one day.
Oh, you might be right. Maybe it would give me some peace in my old age to finally tell the whole story. Several people from the village went to have it out with Lev, but he grabbed an axe and drove them off. He swore if anyone came near him, he'd burn their house down. Then he buried his wife and child in the meadows beyond Ledetchko. I saw him carving 3 statues there.
Lev, you say his name was? What kind of statues?
There's 3 roughly carved beams there, each with a human face. except the smallest, which has no face at all.
For the stillborn child, I suppose. What happened then?
Nothing. He went back to his work, but never spoke to the villagers again. He'd even go all the way to Rattay for food, rather than talk to anyone here.
So he died alone in the end?
Actually, it was the villagers. It was us that killed him.
What? Just on account of his stealing?
No, no. Not long after, fires started springing up in the village. And when the first house burned down, the folk were very angry.
And of course suspicion fell on Lev.
Everyone was dead certain it was him. They all remembered his words. Do you know how arsonists are punished, lad?
No, I don't.
By burning on the pyre. But no one wanted to waste time with the law. We just went to his house at night, smashed in the door and windows, and threw lighting torches inside. And that was the end of him. But the fires didn't stop.
So he was innocent?
He was.
Well, I won't condemn you for it. It's for God to judge, but... may he forgive you for it.
Thanks, lad. I pray every day for forgiveness, and it's a weight off my shoulders to tell someone. Good luck then.
Okay. So now we should have... where is it? Yeah, so we can bury him either in Rattay or in Ladeczko. I don't know which option is the best. But yeah, first let's see where we can bury him. So we can bury him here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drop a save here, and then I'm gonna go to Rattay and bury him there. And then I'm gonna go back here and probably bury him in Ladeczko. So we're gonna do it in that order. Okay, so here we are in Rattay. That's Rattay Church, and we can bury him here.
Have some rest. Rest in peace.
Okay, so this is where we're gonna leave him. And now we're gonna get to work, because there are many things that we need to do. We can start with chicken coops. So we're gonna be replacing chicken eggs for with charcoal. So let's find some chicken coops. No. Okay, also good thing we're here, because we can get... ah, don't worry about it, it's fine. So we can get chicken. Well, let's get 4 chicken. And then we need to take 25 lamb, which will be here. So I think, yeah, is that correct? Yeah, it should be okay. So now let's just get it from him. Yeah, it's fine. We don't need to, you know, be quick with delivering the meat. It has to go bad. That's the deal. Okay, no one sees us. Perfect. Let's get this, and let's leave. One charcoal. Okay, 2 to go. Okay, 1 to go. Okay, perfect. First task is completed. Now, what I want to do is do at least 2 additional tasks, because this will give us the achievement called Ladechko Revenant. So let's see what's next. Fresh meat with the rotten meat, we are on it, but we still need raw meat. So either raw deer meat or red deer venison.
What's the recipe for that potion you were talking about?
You mean for coloring the water? Oh, well...
Well,
Pay close attention now.
I'm all ears.
How love turned to bloodshed. Once there was a knight who, though upright and noble-looking, had a prickly, unapproachable appearance. He fell in love with a fragile young maid, whom he saw with her sisters in a field, all wearing bright red wimples. But he was afraid his prickly exterior would frighten her. So he asked the advice of another knight, a pious and learned crusader, who carried the name of the patron saint of his order with pride. The pious knight told him he would arrange a rendezvous with the maid. All three would drink wine together by the river, and he would help his friend to get acquainted with her. This they did, but the maid fell in love instead with the pious knight. The stern knight was enraged and challenged his rival to a duel. The two fought long and fiercely, but they were equally matched, and so, in the end, they both fell mortally wounded. Anguished at the tragedy her beauty had caused, the young maid took a dagger from one of the knights and plunged it into her own heart. Their bodies lay together on the ground, and the blood flowed from them into the river, turning the waters crimson.
I thought you were going to tell me the recipe, not some fable.
It is the recipe. I mean, the recipe is concealed in the story.
What on earth for?
So I don't forget it.
All right. So what does it mean?
I can't remember.
Great. So if you don't know, who does?
You'll figure it out, my loyal apprentice. I remember there are 3 plants in the story, but that's about all. But I know it was a simple recipe. It should be enough to grind the ingredients and brew them together for one turn. So, all you have to do is work out what the ingredients are from the story.
Sure. Why make things simple if you can complicate them?
Okay. Should you ask him?
So, how am I doing so far?
Well, someone asked me how to deal with a revenant, but no one is worried enough to part with any coin. No one in Ladechko would eat a single egg, even if they had any, because all the hens are hexed.
Well, at least they've got fuel for their fires. That's still not enough, is it?
There's still a long way to go. God be with you.
Okay, so the 3 plants that we need is Sun, John's Wort, Poppy and Thistle. I have the first 2, I need Thistle, and we can get it from the trader. Poppies should be widely available, and you can get St. John's Wort and Thistle from the trader. So let's look for Thistle 1 will do. Thank you very much.
Can we...
Yep.
Well...
Perfect. Now let's do some alchemy. For this we will need to go where is it? Over there. There's a herbalist. We're gonna do this. We're gonna add wine. Then let's go this, and this. And we're gonna add one John's sword to the mortar. Copy into the mortar. And this all as well into the mortar, and we're gonna grind them. Super easy. Okay, now we're gonna pump the bellows 4 times. Now we're gonna use this and boil it for 1 turn. Okay, perfect. So now can let it cool, and then we can collect, and it should be what we need. If you have high enough alchemy, you can do it without cooling, I would guess. But if you're not sure, just take more ingredients. And herbalists should have way more ingredients that you may need. But just make sure in advance. Anyway, let's go back and let's sneak into the bathhouse and add the mixture into the water.
You look a bit worried, Bailiff.
How can I not be? What with the whole village complaining about ghosts?
Ghosts?
An empty grave that they say a revenant crawled out of. They talk of nothing else.
You don't think there's any truth to it?
No, it's nothing but old wives' tales.
But how come the grave is empty?
You don't need any magic to dig up a grave. A spade will do.
But why would anyone do that? Surely no God-fearing Christian would dig up the grave of some poor soul who hasn't even got the piece of hallowed ground to rest in.
A God-fearing Christian? No.
So you suspect someone?
Could be. There's been a band of good-for-nothing itinerants hanging around recently. They weren't making any trouble, though, so I let them be. But this is going too far.
How do you know it was them?
Who else would it be?
What about the Revenant?
Oh, don't you start. That revenant of yours is nothing but idle hands doing the devil's work. I'd send them packing myself if I had the time and the men.
Supposing I help you get rid of them.
You look like you know how to handle yourself.
But that doesn't mean I have to solve everything with brute force. I'd rather parley.
That's how I like things. Peaceful and orderly. I don't need any bloodshed around here. I've trouble enough with one long-dead corpse. Send them packing and there'll be peace again.
Don't worry, Master Bailiff. I'll be the very soul of discretion.
Then I'll gladly accept your help. Is there anything you need to know?
Who are these people?
Just some itinerants who'd rather roam the roads than do an honest day's work. They're not cutthroats, though, just petty thieves and beggars.
What are they doing here?
Damned if I know. Or where they came from. Except for one fella who's from Ledechko. But the rest are from God knows where.
Are they armed?
As much as any thief. Who isn't these days?
Where can I find them?
Last I heard, they were a bit away from the village, across the river by the old mine.
That's all I need to know. I'll get going.
Good luck. May the Lord watch over you.
Okay, perfect. Now let's see where this is. Oh, it's here, okay. this may actually be good because we can get some hunting done. Okay, let's go. Because we need some meat.
Hey, I never.
What do you want, boy?
The bailiff sent me after you.
Oh yeah? I'm shitting myself.
Well, you better take a good look at me and think again.
Oh, all right. What does the bailiff want from us?
I'm supposed to get you to leave.
What's the problem all of a sudden?
Someone hereabouts dug up a grave, and the bailiff reckons you lot are mixed up in it.
Sure, might as well blame us for everything, why not? I suppose we burned down Scarlet's too.
Don't play the innocent lamb with me. You know what I think?
No, and I don't much care.
Well, maybe you ought to.
Oh yeah? Why?
Let's go with this.
Because I can offer you a job.
Doing what? Don't expect us to break our backs for a few groschen.
Perish the thought. No, it's something more suited to your, talents. I need someone to frighten people a little.
Frighten who?
The Ledechko villagers.
Them lot are already shitting themselves on account of that revenant.
Aye, but not quite enough to suit me.
And how do you want us to do it?
A bit of fire would be good, since the dead man was a charcoal burner.
What?
Some flames flickering in the night, that would scare them.
Aye, all the more so since the fellow was accused of arson.
How do you know that?
One of us is from Ledechko. He was only a youngster when it all happened. He remembers the fires all right.
I see. Well, that should scare them out of their wits then.
You bet it will. So what's in it for us?
I'll put in a good word for you with the bailiff, and he'll leave you be.
What would you tell him?
Well, I could tell him I saw someone else near the grave. Humans, maybe?
Well, that would help, I suppose. All right. Deal.
Just make sure no one sees you.
Don't worry. They always turn us a blind eye anyway.
Okay, perfect. Now, let's get ourselves some deer meat. Okay, so it's night and we should have access, yeah, to the bathhouse, and now we can dump the fake blood in. Perfect. Let's also go to the butcher and see what meat they have hanging. But we already have it, so it doesn't really matter. We should be fine. Just need to. Or do we already have the objective? Oh, we only have chickens. Oh, here are the guys with the fires. Nice. Can I get up there to get a better view now? Where are they? Oh, here's one. Here's another one. Oh, very nice. There's another one over there. There. Anyway.
Lamb. And I'll need lots of it if I'm to switch it all. Just lamb now. I need to switch the lamb.
Okay, so we know about the lamb. let's take one of the rosaries since we had it. Ah, no. I'm afraid she can wake up because we are a little bit drunk.
Oh, this is venison from roe deer. No wonder it's underwater.
Okay, perfect. We can replace it later on when it goes bad. So how are we doing with the hours? No, chicken 51. Yeah, okay, we still have to wait. That's fine. What's this? Go back to the bailiff. Yeah, okay, we can definitely do that. So I think that's kinda enough for now. So let's go to sleep and then we can continue. We can continue tomorrow.
So, how am I doing so far?
Everyone's talking about the Revenant, as if it were the 11 plagues of Egypt.
Wasn't it 10?
Oh, you still have a lot to learn. Nevertheless, the baths are closed. No one will tell you why, but everyone is clearly frightened. Some folk saw flames of hellfire flickering around the village at night. Great.
That's still not enough, is it?
You're getting there, but they need a bit more pushing. Good luck then.
Okay. So let's find bailiff.
My humble greetings. How may I serve you?
Here I am, bailiff.
So, how did it go?
I talked to those itinerants, and I'm sure they're not mixed up in it.
How can you be so sure?
Well, those lazy beggars. Digging up a grave is too much like work for them.
You could be right. Well, that hasn't helped much, then. I still have an empty grave and no explanation for it. Farewell.
Okay, nice. Now, let's see, can we just switch it up? Yeah, we can. So, everything under 30 should be fine, but we still need to switch up the meat inside so we can do it at night. We also have an egg that needs to go rotten. Okay, so if we speak the grocer, why is grocer closed? Can you open it, yeah? Ah, so they're here, they're just...
You're not after eggs? Eggs?
They're just closed.
Because they've almost all gone off. Can you imagine the stink?
I don't think I want to.
Terrible it is.
Uh-huh.
Enough to make you retch.
I see.
A diabolical stink. Like you've got a dose of the...
All right, I get the picture.
Aren't you a bit oversensitive?
Okay, so what we can do with an egg is put it in...
If anyone else comes to me, I'll pretend to be deaf and dumb.
Into a well. Meat is nice and rotten. We only need an egg. Egg needs a little bit more time. So now we're gonna replace this. And then the game that they have over there. Egg is rotten, and now we can go and dump it into the well. The way to do it is to avoid the buff maids and just throw it in. Nice.
I feel quite hungry.
Okay, that's 2. 3. Okay, that's 4. Okay, and that's 5.
So, how am I doing so far?
Good work, Henry. The whole village is shaking in its boots. Soon people won't step outside the door without saying 3 Hail Marys.
Ugh, I'm glad to hear it. I'm beginning to feel haunted myself.
Half the village is without rosaries. Someone even wanted to buy one from me.
And did you sell it?
I don't trade in such banal goods. But I sold him a cat's paw.
I didn't know a cat's paw was good for warding off revenants.
Henry, all the goods I have are good for warding off revenants. Everyone is talking about how all the butcher's meat went off after being touched by the hand of evil.
What, does this look like the hand of evil to you? So, the job is done, eh?
Not quite.
But you just said the whole village is shaking with fear.
The whole village, but for one individual.
Well, surely that doesn't matter.
That's what I thought too. Only this fellow is giving everyone the benefit of his wisdom. He needs shaking up before he undoes your good work.
But if he's not been scared yet, what more can I do to frighten him?
Well, when he's not hanging around here ruining my trade, he's in the tavern boasting that he'd happily sleep by that empty grave to prove there's no revenant.
Yeah, I bet he would.
Exactly. He just needs a little persuasion. And once he's there, make it the most terrifying night of his life.
Well, what are we waiting for then?
It's best to be well prepared. You ought to find out something about him, so there's no surprises.
The gossip woman?
Naturally. And Henry, before we get to that grave, you can still try and come up with more ways to frighten the villagers. The more terrified they are, the more groschen there'll be in it for me. For us, that is. Take care.
Not a problem. Anyway, what we did so far should be enough, I hope.
Good afternoon.
Good wife.
You're still here, lad? I thought you'd have fled by now.
Fled? Why on earth would I do that?
Because there's a revenant on the prowl. The whole village is talking about it, and everyone is terrified.
Ah, that. But I heard there's one brave lad who's not afraid.
You mean Felix?
Well, I don't know what his name is, but he's always arguing in the tavern that there's no revenant.
That's him. The fool doesn't believe what's going on under his own nose. He hasn't the sense he was born with.
He even said he'd spend the night at the graveside, just to prove there's no revenant.
Aye, all talk and no action.
Is he brave or just stupid? Surely he's afraid of something.
I couldn't tell you. But if he's to be believed, he doesn't fear the devil himself.
And do you believe him?
Well, it's true he never seems bothered by anything. But then he's always with that other pair.
What pair?
2 mates of his.
But he was alone in the tavern.
Aye, they're not locals, but outside the village, wherever he goes, they go with him.
Who are these 2 fellas?
They're not bad lads, but they're no heroes, that's for sure.
How's that?
Them two have their fears, but then who doesn't?
What are they afraid of?
The first one wouldn't even go into the woods alone because he's afraid of wild animals.
Ah, is that so? I wonder why.
He got lost in the forest as a young lad, and he wasn't found till next morning. Shaking and pale as a ghost he was when they found him.
Poor lad. Must have been scared out of his wits.
That he was.
What about the other one?
He's afraid of fire.
Why?
His own father burned him, God forgive him. As a young lad, he was playing with fire and nearly set fire to the house. So his pa taught him a lesson he wouldn't forget.
Poor lad. That's a terrible way to teach a child.
My words, exactly.
Ah, it's been an interesting chat. Thanks, good wife.
Good luck then.
Okay. Yeah, we have to go back to the charlatan. Let's have a chat with him. Let's see what we can do next.
This brave fella, Felix his name is, if we can get him to spend the night at the grave, he won't be alone. Wherever he goes, he always has two mates tagging along.
Like he's afraid to be alone.
Could be.
So, if we could get him there alone, it shouldn't be too hard to scare him.
Maybe, maybe not. He claims he's not afraid of anything.
That's easy to say. I'm not so sure. Only, we have to get rid of the other two. What do you know about them?
One of them is afraid of wild animals. Won't even go into the woods on his own.
I see. And the other one?
Well, he's afraid of fire, but I doubt an ordinary campfire would do the trick.
Well, we'll think of something. Anyway, you take care of the first one.
How, though?
Haven't you learned anything from me? Talk to a dog.
Of course. Why didn't I think of that? Any particular one, Master?
The most frightening one, of course.
And how am I supposed to recognize him? One looks the same as another.
By his bark, naturally. Can't you hear him? He'd scare the wits out of anyone.
That's a dog.
Either that or Satan in the guise of a beast.
All right. And what do I do with him?
Have a conversation with him and see if you can mimic his bark.
Yeah, great idea. People will think I'm barking mad. Come on then. Bark. What a beast you are. All right, let's see. Ruff. Ruff. Again. Boo. 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 That's still not quite it. Yeah. Boo. Boo. No. Boo. 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 No. Boo. 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 That's it. And now I'm officially the village idiot.
So, how did you get on?
I found that mutt. Although from the noises it made, you'd hardly guess it was a dog.
So you've learned to bark?
I have, Master.
So bark.
I never thought I'd stoop so low. Boo! Boo!
Perfect!
But what if it's not enough?
Ah, ye of little faith. Besides, can you think of any other way?
If we want to have him there on his own, I could always knock the other two out.
And what if he finds them unconscious?
I can always haul them off somewhere he won't find them.
Just make sure you don't botch it, Henry. It could easily turn very sour.
Don't worry. But what about the other fella?
Ah, yes, apprentice. You have the good fortune to witness a genius at work. Watch and learn. An oil lamp.
An oil lamp?
Precisely. Isn't it ingenious?
A marvellous invention, I grant you. But what do you want to do with it?
That's the clever part. I've hung a lamp like this over the Revenant's grave. All you have to do is shoot it down. It'll fall on the grave and burst into flames.
Well, that could work. Only...
Only what?
How can you be sure I'll manage to shoot it down?
I believe in you, Henry. You're my apprentice, versed in the ways of our craft.
Right, I almost forgot.
Anyway, you can practice. The lamp is already hanging up. It just hasn't been lit yet.
Aye, I'll give it a go. And then what?
Then you just have to goad our Felix into putting his money where his mouth is.
But what if he doesn't fall for it?
Refusing would ruin his credibility. Go and see him. I'll bet you anything, if you present it right, he'll jump at it.
All right, I'll give it a try.
Good. Don't delay, though. Practice with the lamp first, if you like, or just go straight to him.
I've heard there's a revenant haunting these parts.
You don't want to believe those old wives' tales.
Well, it's not true then.
Of course not. It's just a lot of fairy tales.
You're kind of sure of yourself, aren't you?
That I am. And what's it to you?
Nothing. It's just that, well, bold talk doesn't prove anything.
Are you saying I'm lying?
Well, can you prove your claims?
What?
Well, supposing you spent the night at that grave, like you say. That'd prove there's no revenant, wouldn't it?
You reckon so? I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Besides, since you're so fearless, it'd be nothing to you, right?
Aye, that's right.
How about something to buck up your courage? Ah, probably not. You don't need it.
I don't, but it can't hurt.
Do we have anything? Let's give him some spirits.
Thanks, Em.
So when are you going to do it?
Just as soon as I can in the evening.
Right. And now you can... Shh! Quiet, Henry. You'll give us away.
Sorry. What's that you're wearing?
What do you think it is?
I don't know, some new fashion?
It's my revenant costume, of course.
My apologies, Master, for not recognising it immediately.
You obviously still have a lot to learn.
So did they come?
Yes, all three. They're camping at the top of the hill.
Right. I'll have time to get haunting then. Where do I start?
I'll leave that up to you. The main thing is to scare off the two cronies first. I'll take care of fearless Felix.
So I'll scare one off with the lamp?
Yes, just make sure no one sees you shooting.
And the other one with fearsome noises?
That will probably take a few attempts. Ideally, a bit at a time.
Let him work up an appetite for more, so to speak.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Just don't give yourself away.
I won't, but if they do happen to see me coming...
Then you'd better vanish like a wisp of smoke, or make some excuse.
And what will you be doing?
I'll wait somewhere out of the way for a while, and then I'll crash in. So make sure the other two are gone by then.
All right.
Okay. I just need to get close enough to him to hear you. Okay, cool. So let's go around.
please, Scott, no. I can't stand this. No, no, please, no. They're everywhere.
No,
They'll
no.
devour me.
No.
Jesus Christ, I've got to get away from here.
Okay, now we wait.
That was something.
How did you like that, eh?
Wonderful! I haven't had so much fun since I dressed up as the Pope.
Did you see him run? Like all the demons of hell were on their heels.
One was quite enough, evidently.
So what now?
Now I just wait for my customers to turn up. Come and see me tomorrow before noon, and you'll get your well-earned reward.
Okay, perfect.
Merchandise from all over the world. Ah, my dear apprentice, how happy I am to see you.
So, it all worked out then?
Like a dream. I didn't sell half as much in Sasau.
That's good news. Now, about that thing you promised me.
Your well-deserved reward, certainly. Here you have it. Henry, what have you done?
What do you mean? I did what you asked.
Didn't you overdo it a bit?
I don't know, why?
Because I was left with nothing. They descended on me like a plague of locusts and made off with everything I had.
But that's a good thing, isn't it?
I'm not saying it's not. Just whether you didn't get a little carried away.
Well, if I did, it was only out of loyalty to my esteemed master. What will you do now?
I could go now. I've coin enough, but I'll wait a while before moving on.
Why? I thought you didn't want to stay too close to Sasau for long.
But what if you needed my help?
Indeed. How could I forget all you've done for me? Well, at least I'll know where to find you.
Okay, perfect. So now we have to go back to Sir Hans and there's tourney in Rattay. So I will go and do the tourney first. However, we gonna have a chat with Sir Hans next time. So that's gonna be it for today. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Take care and I will see you in the next one.